Welcome, viewers. My name is Javon Wilson, and this is another 284 Media exclusive. Now, we know COVID-19 has truly affected the global economy, especially the business sector, and so we know some of the concerns within the community, especially within the BVI, but those concerns are mounting, viewers. So today we sit down with four business owners that really represent a cross-section of the business community here in the British Virgin Islands. Live with us today, we have Mr. David Thomas from Clarence Thomas Limited. We also have Rica Garcia representing Remax Best Price Properties. We have Nicole out of Studio One and representing the establishment of Mayets. We have Miss Valerie Rima. Again, speaking to the concerns on the ground and the way forward as it relates to these concerns. Viewers, stick with us. There's more after this commercial break.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, as promised, we have some reputable business persons within our community. I'd like to introduce them to you. Firstly, we have Mr. David Thomas representing Clarence Thomas.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
We also have Nicole Bundat of Studio One.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to see all of you.
Awesome. Mr. Rico Garcia of Remax Properties.
Good day, everyone. Thanks for having me, 284.
Awesome. And then, of course, finally, but of course not the least, Miss Valerie Reimer representing Mayets.
Good afternoon.
All right. So, viewers, as we know, the business community has been significantly impacted by the results of COVID-19, the restrictions that were introduced as a result of COVID-19, whether it's our curfew or the lockdown, as we all know. So today we saw it fit to sit with the business community, not necessarily BVI, CCHA, or the government of the Virgin Islands, as we are usually accustomed to, but really getting to the meat of the matter and speaking directly with these business owners. Now, being that they represent a big cross-section of the business community, we'd like to, first of all, before we go any further, ask each of our guests, beginning maybe with Mr. Thomas, to tell us how this pandemic has impacted your individual businesses.
Well, good afternoon again. Like with everybody, it of course has affected sales because with the limited amount of hours, because of curfews and with people not working, sales have kind of slowed down as they have, I think, across the world. The BVI is in a really different, unique situation because, everything that we have in this country is imported in. So, luckily, imports have not slowed down or have not stopped fully, but we have seen some interruptions here and there. But with everything else, we're giving thanks that at least we can still serve the public as best as we can. So.
All right, so Nicole, I know you're representing the spa and salon industry, of course. Prior to recently, I think spas were not on the list to reopen following the most recent curfew order. So I know as it stands, your business remains closed. But let's just backtrack a little bit. Overall, how have you been affected as it relates to your business?
Hello, good afternoon again. And what is the most losing for myself and in a business? It's to lose the employers, what they have like a lot experience and what Studio One preserve, like they bring on the table. And it's very hard to bring people with this kind of schools and skills and everything. It's very affect a lot our business.
You lost a lot of your valuable employees as a result of this.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Reimer, representing the hospitality industry. Of course, I think the industry that has been most severely impacted within the BVI, being that tourism has literally come to a halt. How have you been coping within this business climate?
Well, we are still communicating with our customers. We are encouraging them to, get through this with us, and that we look forward to welcoming them. And we're allowing them to use their deposits for reservations towards a future date. The hardest thing, I think, for us is that we've had no income for over 6 months now, and no indication of when we might be able to start things up again, and no real communication on what we should be telling our customers and guests that are expected to come as soon as next month.
And Mr. Garcia, can you tell us a little bit about how this has affected your business?
Well, in a situation like this, most people have less money. And when people have less money, they don't spend it on real estate. People are very hesitant to invest in this time. I know in our market, the biggest losers right now are the landlords. In the BVI, you're used to having a property and always having it rented. Since the pandemic hit the BVI in March, we've had an increase of 50% on rentals available on the market, and that number is growing every month. There's no new people, there's no new traffic coming in, so those apartments are not being filled, and if people are leaving, then you have more apartments empty. There will be opportunity for those that I guess have deeper pockets or those that have been saving, because I believe there's going to be a lot of foreclosures that come on the market in a few months. So unfortunately, the way the world works, one person's tragedy is another person's opportunity. But overall, the market has seen a decrease in activity. There aren't as many rentals. Thankfully, places like National Bank implemented 0% financing, and then the government waived the stamp duty. So there's activity when it comes to sales, but it's still not the higher price property that we're used to having in a real estate market.
All right, so let's just piggyback for a little bit, Ms. Reimer. I know in reference to the hospitality industry, especially, and I think across the board, speaking to the wider business community, what persons on the ground have been essentially calling for, and this has been channeled as well through the BVI CCH as a representative of the business community, is a plan, a guideline as it relates to letting persons, businesses know what to expect. At least there's a structure to work along with. Yes, it is a fluid situation, but nevertheless, a structure is needed. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think we need to be cohesive throughout the industry, whether it be chartering or villa rentals or hotels or guests that are coming. We should have a plan to tell them the same thing that we're all saying. Right now, we're just we're waiting for government. We're waiting for government. But these people have invested in their vacations, bought airline tickets. They need clear direction, and so do we, so that we can plan to use our resources the best we can in reopening.
All right, Mr. Thomas, as it relates to layoffs, I know a lot of persons, a lot of businesses have seen either significantly reduced operations, or a lot of businesses are essentially closed. Was this a reality at your business?
So what CTL has always done, we've always tried our best to make sure that we, look out for our employees. We're one big family here, so we have luckily not have to lay anybody off. We've had to be creative in some of the things that we've done, whereas, we've cut some hours, but we've made the decision not to lay anybody off. So, and in this go round, we're taking advantage of the curfew, if you want to call it that, and we're trying to like inventory the stores. Hopefully we will never get this opportunity again, because hopefully we won't be on curfew anymore, and businesses will stay open so that um, people can continue working and being able to pay their bills. But as far as CTL goes, we've always done our best to not have to lay anybody off, and I can say that we haven't. We've kept everybody working as slow as it's been, as disruptive as it's been, but we've kept everybody employed for the most part so far.
Awesome. What about the other businesses on the panel?
I wish to say the
Well,
same things, but go ahead,
go
Rico.
ahead.
Go ahead, Rico.
Well, real
Ladies
estate is
first.
there's a very yeah, ladies first. There you go.
Okay, fine. um, I wish to say the same things to I can keep everybody, but in my situation, everybody was think about other opportunity. Like they go on. One of the guy was just coming and I was so hard to bring him here. He was a teacher and he was a brilliant hairstylist. We paid for tickets for arrangement to stay and everything, and he was like, I cannot stay here. I need to go home because we don't know what's going on. And I said, okay. He left. Another person who was doing the massage and everything, the same thing. She said, I'm not comfortable to be at work. I really hope she'll be back when these things open. But right now, what I'm doing with myself too, and the barber, what I have, the white, it's staying the fixed salary, and we're just trying to pay all the bills, but it's just so hard. It is hard.
It's difficult. Now, Nicole, you did mention to me in an initial conversation that you were partially approved to reopen by one entity of government. I think that would have been environmental health. However, you're saying another entity is now refusing essentially your business to reopen. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a lot of confusing and a lot about salons and spa or hairdressers and a hairstylist. What it's a barber spa, because we don't have barber shop, we have a barber spa. It's a total difference on a be a hairdresser or have a salon and the salon spa. Salon spa, what you mean? We do before we start cutting hair, we wash it, we treat it, we make sure. First time I was just looking at your hair and I was just telling you what you need. This is what we're doing in a spa environment, treatments, and after going to cut hair. And the same things happened on not just in the facial and it's funny. We are doing this in my country. We have this an environment, the sanitized one. For when we start working, when you're going to school, you have first things what you learn. It's don't touch your face, wash your hands when you're going, sanitize your hands when you touch other person. But we know these things for 20 years. I'm in this business, 25 now. I need to want to say how many years. But this is what we learn in the school.
Okay.
And these
So you're
things for
saying,
us, it's very normal.
right. So you're saying with the right protocols, you do believe that your salon will be able to be within the safety guidelines and open, of course, dealing with customers in a managed and safe approach.
When I opened the salon, I was fighting about this appointments, to make an appointment. I say yes, because what we are doing when we do an appointment, we fix your hair or your nails or what's your appointment for. You finish, I'm going to clean the station and leave the other person to come. That's for appointments. For this, I fight for appointments and I say not to walk in for so many years, because that's a spa doing, that's a salon spa doing.
All right, Mr. Garcia, and I mean, this is a question posed to the panel. I know with these limitations on business operations during the pandemic, of course, a lot of persons are affected. And what we see is similarly, when there's a rise or increase in cases, we either go into a curfew or similarly a lockdown. What are your thoughts on revised protocols as opposed to closures in the event that we see a spike in COVID-19 cases?
Well, I just think as a country we should try to move forward a bit, because if the end goal is to live with COVID, we're not gonna do a good job unless we take the first few steps towards doing so. So if we lock down, we retract and we go backwards. But if you set strict procedures in place and you try to go ahead and do it, then you now have a history. So now 30 days from now, if you're fully open with COVID, you can look at those 30 days and you can say, hey, this is what happened. But if you don't give you a chance to have a history and to look back on, because COVID is new, we can't go back and say, hey, this is how we handle it. It's not a hurricane. So if we go 30, 60 days and you say, hey, let's try this. If we fail or we succeed, at least you can look back on those 30, 60 days and say, hey, this is what we did wrong. Let's adjust here. So we have to try and do something, and then we'll get better by trying.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Thomas?
Well, my thoughts have always been exactly like what Mr. Garcia said. If we, how does the economy continue to work if every single time something happens, then you close it down? I mean, people have bills to pay. CTL has been fortunate. I mean, we've been allowed to open, even though on a couple of those occasions we haven't, and everybody scratched their head. But then, exactly like what Mr. Garcia said, it's like, how do you not survive if you keep running and sheltering yourselves indoors all the time? You never know. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for us, if we can see a plan, like Valerie asked for earlier, how we're planning to move forward, where we're getting the opportunity to have a test run, so to speak.
Okay.
Because yeah, like, I mean, it, how do we open the borders if like every time the cases go up, and the cases will go up, it's not something that's not going to happen. you know um you said it earlier, it's a fluid situation that'll continue to happen, but you know the the vaccine isn't right around the corner, so it's something that's going to happen. We've been fortunate that all of our cases have been mild, but then still you never know, because once you open the doors, then you don't know what's going to happen. But if we have the plan in place where everybody understands what's about to happen, all the businesses and the general public, and you understand that, you know shutting the place down, and especially for 12 or 1 o'clock, it's really kind of crazy. um, we can never go forward. So we have the unique opportunity, I think, where we get to have our test runs, so to speak, if you want to call it that, because our borders are closed. We know we have border security issues which are being worked on. So okay, fine. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. I mean, the minister stated just the other day that you know the numbers have gone down. So I personally think that the messaging should change, instead of us trying to keep putting out you know um, the Russians are coming, so to speak, with the COVID. The numbers went from 0 to 50, and then you come on the other day so quietly and say, the numbers have actually, people have been recovering. People are going to recover. So
Right.
um, I don't think that shutting us down every single time, is the key. I mean, because look at Nicole. Nicole's business is closed down. She has people to employ. They have to eat. They have bills to pay. What happens to all of them? What happened to all those other businesses where have not been allowed to open? They're not deemed as essential. And how can any business in this country not be deemed as essential? When
Right.
everybody's in the same boat as far as their bills to pay, and their kids to feed, their families to support. Because those things don't stop. CTL still has
Absolutely.
its vendors to pay. We still have our employees to pay, and that doesn't stop. It doesn't matter what happens. So whether we're closed down or not, that doesn't stop for my business or any of the panelists' business or anybody's business in this country for that matter. So, I think the big thing for us is um, stop running scared and let's do it. It's fluid, and like Mr. Garcia just said, okay, we know that if this happened, we have some data of XYZ that just happened on this go around, and we know, how to move with it moving forward.
Right, serving as a guideline. Now, let's speak to the 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. curfew, because ultimately we know that some of these decisions are guided by government wanting to flatten the curve. Essentially, we went from having a very small handful of cases to what is now considered a surge. And the government is indeed trying to get that under control in collaboration with the health authorities. So many of these decisions are seemingly being guided by that factor. However, 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., many business owners have said this is an insignificant amount of time for the economy to essentially thrive in light of the fact that the borders have been closed and there's limited monies already being generated within that confinement. So let's speak to that. Do you think it is time for us to relax that curfew? And if yes, what would be a probable time period in your opinion?
It's funny today. I just because we cannot open. So I just go to the salon and just clean up from 7:30, like around 11:30, 11:45. I looking at the time. I was like, oh my god, I need to just hurry up, and I just clean the salon because
Right.
after 2 weeks to not be in the salon, you need to take everything down, absolute everything, towels, absolutes from the beginning, and just make sure the salon is ready. If it's Wednesday, we're going to be open. And I was there from 7:30, and at 12 almost, I was almost not finished yet, the cleaning stuff. I mean, imagine starting the cleaning and working until 1 again. It's, yeah.
It's difficult. All right, Miss Reimer.
Yeah. So yes, I definitely think it should be extended longer. And this not having a plan, just being told, okay, we have to shut down at midnight, doesn't give you any time to prepare to close your business or even open your business. And I don't think that there's been a lot of attention to the tourism industry or even the restaurants. We have a restaurant on the Pier Park, and when you're being told to shut down after you've just purchased and invested in a lot of fresh provisioning and produce and fresh items and stuff that's going to spoil, you're losing money. It's not helping you by being told you can open for a few hours and then all of a sudden being shut down again. There needs to be a better plan so that we can plan. And I also think that it shouldn't be for a one-stop shop for everyone. There are lots of stores that are large and they can do the distancing and proper measures for being safety. And there's some that are really small that are always, you can barely walk down the aisle. So it shouldn't just be for all, for
It
say
should not be a
hardware
blanket
stores or
approach.
all beauty salons. You can go into some little nail salons here and you can't move. So I mean, that's not fair for the ones that have invested a lot of money, like Nicole and others that are being told, okay, it's all salons or all gyms or all restaurants. There's a lot of restaurants like ours in King Garden Bay, which is wide air, open on the beach. We're not closed in. I just think there should be different protocols and decisions made based on the actual business. And the same for tourists. To bring tourists here that have been tested negative and for them to have to follow the rules here on social distancing and wearing a mask and our curfew hours, to be put on a yacht and be off with their own family and only come ashore, for instance, using protocols that's safe. We have a beautiful, beautiful place that people want to come to. They want to get out of these crowded destinations like New York or Paris or vacation spots. This is the perfect place for people to go and feel safe. I think we should be promoting that and opening our doors and using the safety measures and stop with this shutting down, shutting down, shutting down. I mean, we have to live with this virus.
Absolutely, Ms. Reimer. Mr. Garcia, as we begin to wrap up, how have you been dealing with the 5 a.m. to 1 p.m.? And from your seat, what would you suggest going forward as it relates to how we move forward with COVID-19?
Well, with the 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., it's hard to provide the customer service that you normally provide. A lot of people want to see properties and they're being pushed back. So I respond to someone and I say, hey, I can show you on Thursday. I'm like, what? What do you mean Thursday? I called you on Sunday. But it's because there's so many appointments jam-packed into one. It's hard to serve everyone as fast as possible and as efficient as possible as you would like. The curfew of 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., I was actually a bit impressed with the country because I thought we were going into lockdown. I had told my staff, hey, stop working, go shop because there's going to be a lockdown. That's what I assumed. So I was impressed that they kept it open somewhat. So kudos to them for that. I do believe that it shouldn't be 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. on this next announcement. They should extend it. I like what Mrs. Reimer talked about when she said, we're a destination. I study real estate all over the world, and people are leaving New York City and going to the country area. We are the country area for the world. People come here, they hide out, they're happy, they'll pay lots of money to come here. So the people in tourism industry, they will make money if we acted as a private, safe destination for people to come here. We can't just always lock down all the time. 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. is not long enough to do business. And if you're going to make 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. the time that we can be outside, then you should also, people won't like that I'm about to say this, we should also make the other businesses open up earlier. The bank should open up at 9 o'clock if it's only 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. The bank should open up at 6:30. The guys in the construction, they get up early to work. So everyone has to adjust if we're going to have the economy under these restrictions. So vendors should be able to open up a lot sooner, a lot earlier during the day if we're going to have these kind of restrictions. However, they should extend the curfew. I'm talking like 5 or 7 o'clock. Have police the area. That's what they're here for. If people aren't following protocols, but if we continue to be locked down, there's going to be a lot of people suffering in the BVI because the business owners, we provide the jobs. It's not as apparent in the BVI because government employs such a large amount of the population. But there are still people that need to go out there and work and depend on their business owner to pay them. So we have to make adjustments.
Absolutely. Mr. Thomas, as it relates to Clarence Thomas and the traffic, because like Mr. Garcia said, what we're seeing is we're seeing high volumes of people in places at the same time, just trying their best to get their business done between the hours of 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. What has been the response as it relates to Clarence Thomas in that regard?
Well, so my personal opinion, and this is my personal opinion, is that I've never believed in having curfews. That's my personal opinion. Just letting everybody know this.
Okay.
CTL has been extremely busy, and what's been amazing to me is the thinking that, okay, you frighten everybody into like, okay, you can only go to work from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. CTL opens at 7, we close at 12. I know the supermarkets open at like 6:30, they close at 12, same thing. And the same thing happens. They put an announcement out. You have hundreds and hundreds of people in the same space all the same time, trying to shop and everything else. And then you say, okay, for some strange reason, it won't happen then. The logic doesn't make any logical sense to me. But anyway, as far as CTL goes, and the traffic, when we did the new store, big enough so that people can move about freely. I think we've always been on the forefront and the cutting edge of making sure that we've put all of the government guidelines in place. We've been doing trying to stay on the whole social distancing from day one, from back in March. We've put in hand sanitizing stations all throughout the stores, both this store and the store in Virgin Gorda, and it's also in Bell's Cafe. Um, we've already implemented and have implemented the whole mask wearing thing from back in March. Even me, and I'm not crazy about wearing masks, and I try my best not to walk into my stores, but if I have to go into my stores, I have two or three of them sitting at my desk now, and
Proof.
so
Okay.
so so I'll put my mask on. I think i think we have to stop trying to treat people like children, right? As Mr. Garcia said, I was actually really impressed. I actually thought, we actually thought that that they would have actually, gone on a full 24-hour lockdown, because we did a 24-hour lockdown for 3 weeks when we had one case, and now we had 60 and we didn't. But as business owners, we know that, the government can't afford to shut the country down like that. What makes me smile is, just like he said, we know that they employ, a large percentage of the population. Suppose you guys stop getting paid, just like Nicole can't work and Valerie isn't working, and a lot of those other businesses out there that are not working. What happens then? Do you still, jump up and say, oh, we should still, have the curfew? So if we're gonna open, it needs to make sense. I think the country should be open from 5 a.m. until, well, I think it should be open fully, but anyway, the country should be open from 5 a.m. until 9 p.m. That way, every single business in this country can work. Everybody can work. People don't have to then rush, because what you have happening is that you have everybody trying to rush into the same crowded space between 5 a.m. and, like he said, the banks don't open before 8 or 9 and then close at 10:30. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously? I, so,
Yeah.
if we're gonna do it, let's be smart and let's be logical about it. Let's make it so that people can move about freely. Look, I can honestly say, I am impressed with our country, because I would have never thought that you would have ever seen everybody in this country walking around with masks. You know,
Right.
you sanitize your hands so much you get sick of it. You know, but you know what? If that's what it is, that's what it is. You see it now. Okay, I think we should be really proud of the fact that we've actually gotten everybody to do this. So, you know, and let's we go back to the plan, like Valerie said. We have to show us, and when I say us, I mean the country. How do we plan to do this? I really think that we have a really good opportunity right now. I mean, here we can try it. If it doesn't work, good, we try something else. But you don't know until we do it. But doing the opposite by shutting it down. And I'm not saying that, that locking it down hasn't curbed the cases or curbed the spread. Maybe it has. But then I still laugh too, because it's like, the Tortola isn't as big as Jamaica, for example, where, if we have an outbreak in Rotown, that you can shut down Rotown and you don't have to go all the way to Montego Bay because it's like 3 or 4 hours away. That doesn't happen in this country. So,
Right.
but at least you have everybody wearing masks. Okay, fine. But I think every business should have the fair opportunity to open and work, and try and create some income, so that, and it should be done in a sensible time frame, so that people aren't rushing trying to jump into all the supermarkets and CTL and all the other businesses that are open, especially the banks. Between, well, the banks open from 8, but between 5 a.m. and 1 p.m. or 12, because
Right.
it can't even be 1, because you have to close at 12, because those of us that run businesses understand, you know I can't close my business at 1 o'clock and then be home for
Right.
1 o'clock. That's just,
Right.
it's not.
Right. It's impractical. And I think
Okay,
that's one
thank
of the
you.
guidelines, even within what was put out, that businesses should allow for employees to get to and from work between the curfew period. Now, as we begin to wrap up, and I think you guys would have done a great job at covering various sections within the business community, speaking individually to those sections. And like Ms. Reimer said, we need an approach that is not necessarily a blanket approach, sorry. It has to be personalized to fit the various sections of the business community. So as we begin to wrap up the interview, can each of you just say, at this moment, what are you expecting as it relates to the government, the health authorities, as it relates to managing this pandemic, and especially within the business community? What are your expectations?
So if I can go first.
I
Okay.
can say, I don't know which one. What David said earlier
Um,
about the
again,
opening,
like
just I think in 9 months we already knows we need to have a mask, we need to sanitize, and we know what we need to have to do. The government say to us for 9 months now, every single day, put your mask, make sure you have a social distance, make sure you have this on place. How hard is to lessen of this and to open your business? And if you not doing these things, just make a ticket, make a person to make to pay for that. But not everybody can pay for everybody mistakes. Just wear
Absolutely.
your
Go
mask,
ahead,
put
Mr.
your sanitize, and do what they said for 9 months to do.
All right, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah,
I was
you guys are crazy.
thanks, Nicole.
I know.
um, so again, this is my thing. The, if I I believe in common sense and logic, and let's be straightforward, let's be honest, with everybody. If you're gonna talk to the businesses, let's talk to the let's talk to the businesses, because believe it or not, the businesses are the things that help keep this country running. So if we're gonna have conversations, let's have real conversations, with the stakeholders of this country. And that's all of these businesses. It's not just mine, it's not just the Garcias, it's not just Valerie's, it's all of us, right? And then I've also believed into, if you're putting a message out, then the message should be the same, from
It's
top
real
to
analog.
bottom. So then, don't have, this group saying one thing and then this other group, because they feel that they should be the ones who have the power to come and tell you that you can't do this. Again, it goes down to planning. I can only tell you guys how we do things here at CTL. um, my brother and I and my management team and I, we sit down, we have discussions about things all the time, right? The My employees on the sales floor, they carry out the wishes and procedures of what happens from the management level. So you don't have people on the sales floor trying to tell you, well, they're gonna do it this way because that's how they feel they should do it. The management side of it will sit down, and we'll discuss it, and we discuss it, and we'll agree to disagree. We'll throw opinions out there because you and I should never have the same opinion. And it's not a problem if you and I don't have the same opinion, but we all should be working for the best interest of the company. And that's what happens with CTL. Well, there's no different for the BVA. You know, we should all be working for the best interest of the BVA. We say it, and you hear it a lot. A lot. They say it a lot, but in practice, you see it differently. So let's somebody has to take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and say, you know what, if that's what we're gonna do, let's do it. I don't have to agree with you, but you know, like Valerie said, there shouldn't be one blanket approach to how it all should go. But then you don't know if you're not sitting down and having real dialogue, with the stakeholders of this country, and that's all of the businesses that are here. So I would really love to see that really happen. I would really love to see, them really showing us a plan as to how we really plan to do this. Because just like how every single business has to sit down and plan, on what is going to happen. We haven't opened on Sundays for the past 2 weeks, and our customers are really upset. But then you know, I have my staff working 6 days a week, and we decided, you know, we have to give them a day off because we really don't know what's going to happen after the 16th. So it's kind of like the same thing. If we're not sitting down and planning, and I'm not saying that they're not planning, so don't misquote me, or send me all kind of messages saying that you're saying the government ain't planning. No, I ain't saying that. But what I'm saying is they should be sitting down and having conversations with the stakeholders of this country, and that's every single business and business person here, because every business in this country is essential, you know. So because when you have to pay your light bill, and and you're not working, you haven't worked for 3 weeks or a month or whatever, because we're locked down for whatever other reason, then that's
You
it's
become a
kind of sad.
dependent.
Yeah, okay. And then even as a dependent, if you're still, anyway, yeah, let me stop there. I'll stop. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Garcia, what would be your closing words?
Well, everyone do what they're supposed to do. That is government, the businesses, and the people in the territory. I like how Mr. Thomas made the point. He might not like wearing the mask, but he wears the mask. A lot of us might not like wearing the mask, but we wear the mask because we want things to keep going. If as citizens or residents, whatever you want to call it, if we aren't doing what we're supposed to do, then it makes it harder for government to make those decisions that we want them to make when it comes to helping the business community. So we all have a stake in this. So we should all do our part. That's for sure. I would like to see more, because I think you kind of always know what's going to happen. If there's a spike in cases, there's going to be a curfew, or a lockdown. If when it eases out, when it eases down, then we're gonna reopen again. We need to start making money as a country. You can't live in this world without making money. And if business owners pay the most taxes and they're making less money, then there's going to be less money for the government as well. So if this goes on, you know, further down the road in this manner, that even the government won't have any money. So it won't just be the private businesses, laying off people. It'll be government shutdowns and all type of crazy stuff you only see on TV. So we kind of want to protect the economy, protect the BVI by everyone doing their part. So I would like to see everyone do their part. If you don't want to wear a mask, if you don't like wearing the mask, still wear the mask. Social distance. You don't have to give your boy daps every time you see him. You don't have to do that. I go and visit my mom and my sister, and I have on a mask. My mom and my sister. And do I need it? Probably not, but it's just to set the precedent. So everyone should just do what they're supposed to do so that we can carry on with life and get back to growing our economy.
All right, and last but not least, Ms. Reimer, I know there is a guideline out as it is, that date being November for the official reopening of the tourism industry. Clearly, that is subject to change by decisions made by the Cabinet of the Virgin Islands, but nevertheless, something to look forward to, providing that all goes well. Tell me how you feel about that timeline, as well as how do you go about preparing, but also what are your suggestions to government as it relates to us headed into this is essentially a leeway into our reopening. What would be your suggestions as it relates to the tourism industry and how we move forward?
Well, first of all, I do agree with David. I do think government's working on a plan, and it's a very difficult situation. Very adverse. We've gone through a lot of adversity over the years. My ex is 28 years in business, so we've seen some recession. We've seen 911. We've definitely seen some hurricanes, and we are, trying to pick up still from that. But what I would really like to say is, I'm disappointed a bit in the delay on just your basic help from government for businesses who actually have not had any income for 6 months. We still have bills, as David said. Restaurants have freezers and refrigerators that run constantly. We still have to maintain our property. We still have to get ready for hurricanes. We still have utilities and bills. And after 6 months of not receiving one penny, not one of my employees have received a Social Security check. We have not received any assistance from government besides a tiny little electric bit that doesn't even put a dent in it. I would like to see the government really pay attention to the tourism business, because we will be back, but we need help getting there, or we're not going to be able to be there for the tourists when they do come. I would really like to see them take a different approach to welcoming tourists. We have an amazing destination where people will pay to come, and if they can feel safe and we can feel safe, I think that we just need to get it moving. And November 1st, hopefully it won't change, but we need to tell our customers what to do, because they've already rescheduled a few times. They're losing, I believe they're losing a little interest in still coming, because they keep being told, oh, we're going to find out, we're waiting for government, we don't know. So we need to come up with the definitive plan. And I think government needs to look at people in the business, not just for me, but all the tourism businesses, because all the businesses that are even essential are not making money because there's no tourists here. David, you make more money when the tourists are here and people are buying parts for their boats and villas. And Nicole, you get more business cutting hair when the tourists are here. And obviously they're looking at real estate when they're here. So we need to get that tourism business back, not just businesses, but tourism business. I think it's very
Absolutely,
important.
because like you said, it does cause a ripple effect in the economy. The money circulates internally. So guys, I just want to thank all of you for joining us today on this exclusive interview. Now, one of the things, like I mentioned, we've spoken to the authorities, and I think as we continue to forge forward through this pandemic, it's really important for us to capture the stories on the ground, hence why we're speaking to the business owners today. So I really want to thank you for taking the time to share with us and the rest of the BVI, not only on how this pandemic has affected your business, but on the way forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having me.
having us.
Thank you all.
for
Thanks
All
for
right,
having us.
viewers, this has been another 284 Media exclusive. My name is Javon Wilson, reminding you to join us at 6 p.m. for our live newscast. But of course, for now, thanking you for joining us. Take care.